Okay, picture this. It's 2006, London. There's this old townhouse, used to be an orphanage, and it's about to be knocked down. But just before that happens, inspectors are doing a final check in the basement, and they find, well, something pretty amazing. A sealed room. So today we're going to do a deep dive into what they found inside the Merrylin Cryptid collection. It's incredible, definitely bizarre, maybe even a bit blasphemous. Our mission here is to try and piece together the truth, or, as close as we can get, using the sources you've shared, bits from an audio file, that BBC documentary by Simon Lewis, the collection's website, even an old newspaper clipping.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is just how the story itself unfolds. It pulls you through all these layers of mystery,
Yeah.
and it makes you ask some pretty big questions,
Yeah.
about belief, folklore, how we perceive things. Get ready, because there are some genuinely surprising twists and connections here.
All right, so back to that sealed room. It wasn't empty, not at all. Inside, apparently, were lots of these wooden shipping containers. And whatever was in them was so strange, so unusual, they were immediately whisked off to a lab. You can just imagine the scene, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that BBC documentary, the one on Vimeo, it introduces us to the guy who calls himself the curator, Alex C.F. He explains how a trust was set up pretty quickly, actually, to figure out what was in these containers. And then in 2007, Alex says he was asked to basically take over to study and catalog all these diaries they found alongside the crates.
Diaries. Okay, now it's getting interesting. And these diaries, according to Alex, belong to someone called Thomas Theodore Merrylin.
Right. Thomas Theodore Merrylin. So who is this guy? Well, the collection's website gives him some rather unique job titles. Cryptonaturalist, fringe zoologist, and xenoarchaeologist, born way back in 1782.
Cryptonaturalist, fringe zoologist.
Oh.
Wow, so basically studying hidden animals and alien archaeology. And the story goes his father got him into it, this sort of esoteric natural history. Took him on trips, collecting weird stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He traveled the world with his father, apparently, collecting strange specimens. And then Merrylin just carried on the work after his father died. Sort of a family tradition, I suppose.
A very strange family tradition.
It is. And, this is where it starts to feel a bit unusual. The website also claims Merrylin lived an incredibly long time. It says he was still touring with his collection in 1899. And even when he was supposedly in his 80s, he looked like he was maybe 40.
Okay, hold on. Lived incredibly long and looked young. That definitely pushes the boundaries a bit, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's stretching things quite a bit. Then, after this American tour apparently failed, the website says he just vanished. Poof. Faded into obscurity. Nothing more heard about him until 1942.
Right, 1942. And how does that connect back to the townhouse?
Well, according to a newspaper article they show in that Vimeo film, in 1942, a school, Tunbridge School for Boys, received donations from Thomas Merrylin's estate. And one of those donations was that very townhouse in London.
Ah, okay, so the house came from his estate, and then it became an orphanage.
Yeah.
And was later sold, and that's when they supposedly found the basement room in 2006. So these containers held his life's work.
That's the story presented, yes.
Yeah.
The culmination of Merrylin's peculiar life's work hidden away.
But what was it? What was actually in the crates? What could possibly be so shocking that people in the 19th century called it blasphemous? So shocking that Merrylin supposedly went to great lengths to hide it all away forever? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, the website calls it the most incredible collection ever known. A unique archive, biological specimens, apparently, many that just defy classification. Think skulls, preserved bodies, other, anatomical oddities.
Okay, oddities is one thing, but in Lewis's film, Alex the Curator, he insists this stuff represents an ancient, non-human civilization. We're talking about things like creatures with horns, scaly wings, like dragons, basically. Winged humanoids, clawed beasts. I mean, it sounds like props from a fantasy movie, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. But Alex, in the film, he's adamant. He says, I think I knew from the beginning that they were all real, that it wasn't a hoax. And he puts his faith in them down to Merrylin's research methods. He describes Merrylin's fastidious attention to detail, how he supposedly recorded everything about these finds, obsessively.
Okay. Fastidious detail. But then the film keeps going and the claims just get wilder, right? There's an interview with someone who seems to be a colleague of Alex's, says he analyzes cell samples, and based on his lab test, he concludes the collection includes Homo vampiris. Vampire.
A vampire.
Right.
And, I think for many people watching, that's probably the point where, as the source material puts it, you might start to smell a rat. I mean, the artifacts look incredibly realistic, very spooky. But claims of real fairies, werewolves, Vampires. How seriously can we take that?
Exactly. It makes you stop and think, wait a minute, what's really going on here? Did anyone actually believe this vampire claim?
Well, it certainly raises a huge question mark over the whole thing, the
Hmm.
nature of the collection itself, which leads us to, well, the big reveal, perhaps.
So what is the deal then? This self-proclaimed curator, Alex C.F., turns out he's actually an artist. Based in London, his work, illustration, sculpture, and he has a deep fascination with, guess what? Whimsical, folkloric things.
Precisely. If you look at Alex's own website, it says quite clearly he's inspired by animal mythology, loves creating these fantastical natural scenes. So this really brings us to the central question, doesn't it? Could this entire Merrylin collection just be an incredibly elaborate, fantastically detailed art project?
Yeah.
And could Thomas Theodore Merrylin himself be, well, just a character, a figment of the artist's imagination?
You know, whether it's real specimens or incredible art, it's fascinating. It's wonderfully creepy, actually. And it's undeniably impressive as maybe a tribute to the power and the strangeness of myth. It's quite a feat, regardless.
Absolutely. And perhaps we can all rest a little easier knowing LXCF is an artist and not,
Yeah.
a real museum curator handling actual vampire.
Yeah.
So after digging into all this, what really stands out to you about the Merrylin collection story?
For me, it's just such a powerful example of how art can completely blur that line between what's real and what's imagined. It creates this world that's so detailed, so compelling, you almost want to believe it. Definitely something to think about as you go about your day.